Welcome to the ThunderCast, your martial athletics podcast produced by the fans, for the fans, with your hosts, Russ Livingood and KD Hudnall. We're bringing you the thundering word on the thundering herd each and every week, so keep it right here. The ThunderCast is on the loose.
Welcome to another episode of the ThunderCast. Here again with me, Russ Livingood, is my co-host one day out of the week, Jed Horton. Jed, welcome back.
Yep. Hey, glad to be here, Russ. Ready to talk some herd sports today.
Yeah, Jed and I, once a week, are bringing you 5 things every herd fan needs to know, where we take some of the bigger news stories and delve into them a little bit more, make sure you're informed as herd fans, and then also take you around the herd, where we talk about all the results from the previous week and what we have upcoming for this week for all of herd athletics. But I want to say we are, the ThunderCast, a proud member of The College Huddle. You can find that at thecollegehuddle.com. It's, for lack of a better word, a website that is an aggregate of kind of similar podcasts to us. You know, it's team-centric. Well over 50 different podcasts are on there. And some of them have websites. Some of them are only podcasts that are audio and video related, but it's a lot of content focusing on their school of choice. So if you have an opponent that Marshall is playing, that's a good place to start. You can look at thecollegehuddle.com and see if you can find some content where they'll be covering upcoming games against us. You can also find us, and I hope you do, bookmark it over on ThunderCast.Online, where we currently have our wildly popular transfer portal tracker, taking care of all the transactions for Marshall football in this offseason. A lot of articles coming out there also very soon. And anyone listening or watching right now that would like to maybe write for ThunderCast.Online, drop us a DM. We would love to talk to you about some of the various articles and sports teams that we need covered. Also, too, like, follow, and subscribe to us on social media. KD does an amazing job over on Twitter, and you can also find us over on Facebook. Not too active over there. We just kind of post links to shows like this. But if you're watching us on YouTube, you definitely want to like, follow, and subscribe to us there, and on your favorite audio streaming app if you're listening. That way you can get notified every time that we drop a new episode. Jed, we have a lot to talk about. A lot happened today. But before we do, I'm going to drop a word from our sponsor, Leasure Oliver PLLC. If you've been hurt in a wreck, call the law firm of Leasure Oliver PLLC. Find them at 304carwreck.com. All right, Jed. Every week we've been doing the 5 things, and last week I kind of shocked you a bit, and we only had 5 because usually we got a lot more than 5. Even condensing some of these things together this week, we have more than 5. So here are 7 things every herd fan needs to know this week, brought to you by Ignite Link, the Tri-State's premier IT management team. Number 1, Kylie Maston, named the Sun Belt Conference Women's Indoor Track Athlete of the Week. As you may remember from our episode last week, where this award was given, she set 2 personal records. This week, didn't win it, as they've already named this week's, but she set another couple of records this week. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you about them as part of this thing. New school record in the 800 meters, 2 minutes, 10.51 seconds. And in the 1,000 meters, the 1K, 2 minutes 49.08 seconds. KD has called her big time, and everything she does seems to be big time, just breaking records. What do you got to say about getting yet another track athlete of the week and breaking even more records?
Do we have a I think we need to start a tracker on ThunderCast.Online where we track how many times Kylie Maston has made the 5 things, and not only made the 5 things, but been the first 5 things.
Yeah,
I think I'm going to put in a requisition to the ThunderCast board of directors to rename the 5 things the Kylie Maston 5 things.
So I'm not sure where she would place Abby Herring, as our longtime listeners and viewers are going to recognize, has been on here probably more than any other athlete twice over. She was constantly breaking her own records, and at one time we quit counting, but thanks to the folks over at Marshall, David O'Leary let us know before she came on the show that she had broken 26 records or held 26 records. And some of those records were records for how many times she had set records. And I think that when he sent that out to us, either right before we had her on the show or right after, she broke yet another record. So even that record was old news. Her longtime teammate Kylie Maston has just kind of picked up where she left off. And that is crazy, that both of them were here at the same time. Earlier this season, Kylie even broke a couple of Abby's records. Maybe it was one, but how blessed are we to see athletes of this caliber right now, and they were here overlapping in their careers. It's great.
Yeah, I agree. And it's always good. I mean, it would be a boring 5 things if we didn't have athletes constantly breaking records, constantly not doing great things. We wouldn't have anything to talk about. So,
Right.
I agree with you. I think we're extremely blessed to have athletes that year in, year out, even when the greats leave and move on and in their collegiate career here, when there are always athletes coming in behind to fill in those gaps and continue. We call it the legacy, right? That for example, Abby Herring left behind. So no, it's great, man. I think this is awesome. I'm glad she's continuing to break her own records, and season's not done yet. So I think we're gonna keep. If she's not a continuing regular in the 5 things, I'm going to be extremely surprised.
Yeah, I don't hold your breath for her disappearing anytime soon, because she's on pace to be on here probably on a weekly level every time they have a meet. That's just the level she's at right now. We're going to keep it there, though, and talk more about track and field, because number 2, Micah Coates, set a school record for men's track with a time of 34.54 seconds in the 300 meter. So it's not just Kylie. It wasn't just Abby before. We had Addison Painter a couple of weeks ago, broke back-to-back weeks, if I'm not mistaken, broke his own record in the long jump. And now we have yet another school record falling. Records are falling all over the place with track and field. And you and I just talked. They only came back January of 23, so this is their 3rd season, but really it was only 2 years ago, almost to the month, that they came back and even have a team on the men's side.
Yeah, and it had been, and from what I recall from last year, my memory isn't so good, but from what I recall from last year, I don't recall the men's track and field breaking records. I'm sure some records were broken. There were some, but there hadn't been a lot of noise, and I get that, especially when you start bring a program back for the first time in a long time. You're not going to have, you're still recruiting, you're still getting people in, but man, this year, it's just, that's something that's stuck in my head, that this is now a recurring theme on the men's side, which means they're gaining speed. They're gaining, they're getting some recruits in and some good collegiate runners and athletes. So this is great to see.
There were a couple of records in the first 2 seasons, but that fell. But we are now seeing it exponentially grow. Exactly what you said, what you would expect. That first year, that second year, uh, maybe not as many. Now you get some recruiting cycles in, and now you get the program getting elevated. We're seeing some more of these records drop, and it makes me hopeful for what we may see at the upcoming Sun Belt Conference Championships, to see us place a little bit higher as a team and on the men's side, and see if we can't continue to grow this athletic team. Number 3 is Jalen Spear, named Sun Belt Conference Men's Basketball Player of the Week. Over the 2-game stretch that they had during that week, he averaged 20.5 points and 4 assists per game. And man, these sound absurd. It sounds like video game numbers, but shooting 64% from the floor and 58% from behind the arc.
Yeah, and we had talked about him last week, and I believe I made the comment, and you made the comment as well, that now that he's been able to play, I think he was struggling with an injury, and now that he's been able to play, I feel like he's really come into his game. And this has been apparent over the last, this last road stretch for one. But definitely during conference play, I think he is really starting to show what he is, capable of, which is video game stats, which is awesome. And that's what you like to see. You like to see that from a guy like him who's coming in and starting to tear it up. So it's great to see. It's great to see that our men's basketball team it seems to be improving game over game. And I'm sure we'll talk about that in Around the Herd a little bit more, but congrats to him. And I think this has been coming for a few weeks now. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, you remember you and I were talking about men's and women's basketball and their struggles with shooting, and we said if they had shot a little bit better with free throws or shot a little bit better from 3-point, the records might be drastically different. And that very night, Jalen Spear, that might have been when he went 7 for 7 from behind the arc.
Yeah.
And the team, of course, shot much better too. But check this out. This is from the start of, this was January the 9th here. JMU, we beat them 80-78, and that might have been that. Yeah, that was that game. He went 7 for 7 from behind the 3-point line. But we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-1. We've won 5 of our last 6. So the last 3 weeks, Jalen Spear, this is from 3-point only. 7 for 7, 3 for 9, 5 for 11, 4 for 6, 5 for 8, 2 for 4. 16, 27, 33, 41, 45 threes over those 6 games he shot. And it looks like he's over 50%, maybe right at 50%. But I would say he's over. Just crazy good on what he's been doing and adding to the team. And so goes Spear, so goes the team, it seems like.
Yeah.
He's a bigger part of the offense. When he's on from 3-point range, it seems to pick everybody up. Opens up the lanes a little bit on the inside and everything, because the defenders have to make sure they're guarding him. It's just been a really good stretch, 5-1. And yeah, we are going to talk quite a bit more about men's basketball in Around the Herd. But I've got a little bit more about them here in 5 things, because number 4, Obina Anachili Killen is currently 6th in the nation in blocks with 52. That's going into tonight. They are playing tonight, which we'll talk about. The all-time shot blocker at Marshall. 52 blocks. It seems like maybe it was the game before last. I don't think it was the last game. He had 6 blocks in that game. It just seemed like 3 stretches down the court. It was just like, well, it's 3 blocks in a row, 4 in a row. When he's on, and has a force down low.
Yeah, I mean, he's Yeah, he's killing it, and pun intended there too. And those aren't just getting fingertips on the ball too. Those are dominant, shove it back down your throat blocks. Now yeah, it's been fun to watch him when he's been on for sure.
And he is currently leading the team in points per game with nearly 14. But yeah, here's his block totals. Let's do just before that Jalen Spear run that we were talking about. Let's go an additional week back. Here's the block totals that we have: 6, 5, 4, 1, 4, 9, and 4 in the last 8 games. He is just a rim protector. And it's not like he was absent on blocks earlier in the year because, he had a couple of games with 5, 4, 3. But he is really, really protecting the rim down there. Nate Martin, as you know, is also very good at getting those blocks. And you talk about some that are return to sender. He does not leave them to doubt when he's on blocking shots either. Those last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 last 6 games, he's got 1, 4, 0, 2, 0, and 3. So Nate Martin helping out quite a bit in the low post as well, defending the rim. Hurt's just doing great. And I've got a little bit more about them. Number 5 is next Wednesday's men's basketball game versus Arkansas State has been elevated to ESPNU. Now, keep in mind, if you're watching on ESPN Plus all the time and you do not have a cable provider or a TV provider, you will not get ESPNU. So it's a 9 p.m. game. If you are local and you're able to go, you should really go and try to make this a great environment, not just for TV, but for our herd team. They deserve to get a good crowd in there and get energized.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it's good to see that you had some woes at the beginning of the season, lost some close games in conference, early on, but now we've ascended up near the top of the rankings in the Sun Belt, and you're taking on the number 1 team currently in the Sun Belt. And I'd say that's great to see. Anytime we can get some national exposure, it's always good for Marshall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Arkansas State is number 1 in the league. It was just earlier today, I believe, may have been last night, but today or yesterday as we record on Wednesday evening, Arkansas State's head coach got bumped up in pay and extended because of what he's been able to do with their program. He's now the highest paid coach for men's basketball in the Sun Belt Conference. So the number 1 team coming to the CAM, and we need that energized crowd. I know it's 9 p.m. It's a school night. Whatever you can do, if you can get there, get there. It's going to be, especially if we win our next 2 games, it's going to be a really, really good game to win, going up against the number 1 team. And it also could go quite a bit towards our seeding in the tournament. And as we've talked, the higher you get in that seeding, the better, easier it is. Man, what a brutal tournament it could be if you're the 12th seed, 14th seed, that sort of thing.
Yeah, we definitely want to get at least that. Obviously, you want the number 1 seed or 2, get the bye, but at least the 4, at least in the top 4. That's otherwise it's you've got to, like you said, it's going to be a brutal path to win it.
I think if you're the lowest seed and you made it to the championship game, I think it was 6 days in a row that you play.
Yeah,
and that's after traveling down to Pensacola, and you're there for a week. It's brutal. Number 6, Sun Belt Conference softball preseason coaches poll is out, and Marshall is picked 9th of 12. Not a lot of love from the coaches, but just like we did in football when we were picked kind of low, we have the opportunity to go in and say, we'll take that. Yeah, you want to rank us that low? Let us show you. The big news, though, is Brooklyn Ulrich, second baseman, being named the Sun Belt Conference preseason player of the year. She hit over 400 last year, showed a lot of power, looking to capitalize on that. We talked about a couple of weeks ago her getting some national love. I believe it was the fifth-ranked second baseman in the nation in that top 100. She is also the only Marshall representative on the All Sun Belt Conference preseason team.
Like you said about Marshall football, when we were kind of picked to finish in the middle of the pack, I like playing with a chip on our shoulder. And I think that, these girls are going to play with that chip on their shoulder, and they've got something to prove. And, you get the preseason player of the year on your team, you plug in a couple extra pieces that you were missing a little bit from last year. We've got a good chance to have a really good season. So it'll be interesting to see how we do. I do want to put in a plug that if you're interested to hear from Coach, yours truly over there on the other side of the screen, Russ, there is an interview up on YouTube. You want to check that out and hear, Russ and Coach Zirkle discuss softball. Check that out. And no, I'm excited to get the season started, Russ.
Yeah, we've got a video interview over there, softball season preview. She talked a lot about bringing in more pitching depth. That was one of our problem areas last year, and brought in more pitching depth. And we hope to see an increase in wins, in competitive ball games, just all around. It seemed like we were in most of the games last year, and then we would have that one inning that was just our downfall. And with a lot more pitching depth, hopefully that will help us out. But yeah, you can listen on your favorite audio streaming app if you haven't already, and watch it on YouTube if you haven't already. And finally, number 7, the Thunder Trust has partnered with Banner Year Coffee Company to help fund our NIL. This should be all over social media. You should have seen it. But if you haven't, they are doing 20% off orders through February the 6th, I think it is. And then after that, it'll be 10% off. So this is Banner Year Coffee. They have 3 different coffees that will have herd-related names on there, and you can have it shipped to you, and proceeds will help the Thunder Trust, and all that goes to Marshall athletes for, a little kicking around money. This is not the Ohio State quarterback getting $1 million and a jet to fly to every game. This is, athletes here that get a little bit of help on rent, get a little bit of help on food, that sort of thing.
Yeah. And that's something that's easy to do, right? Most people are coffee drinkers. Most people, go through Starbucks line or go through the McDonald's line or what have you. And, if you've got an organization like this who's willing to put some money in into the Thunder Trust, pick up some coffee. You can also, sign up for the Thunder Trust as well if you haven't already. And, it's just, it doesn't have to be much, right? A cost of a cup of coffee. You can, help by buying coffee as well. So definitely check them out and take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, I'm thinking about adding a couple of these bags over. I have a rental property that we do short-term rentals, not long-term, and we'll have people come in for a weekend. So we've got one of those Keurigs that has both the single cup pods, but also the pot of coffee. And I'm trying to put as much Marshall-related stuff that I can in there. So I may throw in a couple of bags of those over there just so we can have a little Marshall flair and help Thunder Trust out at the same time.
Yep, absolutely.
Jed, that does it for our 5 this week. 7 things every herd fan needs to know this week. As always, brought to you by Ignite Link. And just a quick word, Mr. Jed over there at Jed Horton over on Twitter has Ignite Link at Ignite Link. And Jed, we would love for our listeners and viewers to send some business over to Ignite Link that is always bringing you these news stories. Been doing it for what's it been since May of 22, I think it is, coming up on 3 years. And each and every week we have news bits to keep you informed, and that's thanks to our friends at Ignite Link. So if you know anyone that needs the Tri-State's premier IT management team for their business, make sure that you get with Jed or go to the website ignite.link.
Yeah,
Jed, that does it from my end.
Well, I appreciate that, Russ. And and if you do have a business and you have some IT needs, feel free to reach out. We'd be more than happy to speak with you. Consulting is always free. So Russ, what do you say about taking it around the herd?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So, Layer 1 Solutions, your experts in business connectivity infrastructure, takes you around the herd. So we're going to start with tennis. Tennis beats Eastern Kentucky 6-1, and they also beat Bellarmine 6-1 as well.
Yeah, some of your usual dominating doubles teams. Let's see, Vanderheyden and I never can get this one right, but I'm going to say Makrinskaya. They won. Sophia Hurion and Aisling McGrain. They seem to win every week. That one did not finish because we had already won the doubles thanks to the next team of Nell Van Hoot and Johanna Strom. So that gave us the doubles point, and then Strom won in singles, Vanderheyden won in singles, Makrinskaya won in singles, Hurion won in singles, Nell Van Hoot won in singles, and the only person that did not win against EKU, it went into the third set, and that was, I'm going to say this one wrong too, Noor El Owazani. I really need somebody to tell me how to pronounce these because there's nothing I hate worse than someone getting my name wrong, and I do not want to get the athletes' names wrong. But since I've never heard them and only read them, I'm only doing my best guess. But it was just a dominating performance, almost a clean sweep. If one of those matches would have went slightly different in the second set for El Owazani, we could have had a clean sweep there.
Yep. So that's a great way to start your season out, is in dominating fashion. We love to see it.
Yeah. Bellarmine, we also picked up the doubles points there, and pretty much again, Hurion, McGrain, Nell Van Hoot, Vanderheyden, and Strom all picking up singles victories as well, dominating in both sets or both matches that they had.
Love to see it. We're going to move on to, unless you have something else you want to talk about tennis.
Nope.
All right. I'm going to move over back to track and field. The Hokie Invitational was this past weekend. And on day one, I'm going to look through here just a little bit. There's a name that didn't make the 5 things, but a name that should be mentioned is Addison Painter. That name should sound familiar. In the long jump, he did place third at a distance of 7.02 meters. And then on the women's side, Laura Check also placed third with a jump of 5.91 meters. There's you can find all this stuff over at herdzone.com. And then in the 3K, the women's Hannah Weiler did get 4th place, and that was day one. And then on day 2, pulling it up here, we had a couple of 7th and 8th place finishers in the high jump and the triple jump. And of course, in the track events, 1K women's Kylie Maston broke her school record. That was good enough for 6th place on day 2. And then the 4x400 men's relay, the men's team placed 4th. Team A placed 4th with a time of 3:16. So we definitely had some of our athletes place up in the top 10, and then a few kind of finishing up in that top 3 and 4. So that's a good showing, especially against an ACC school.
Yeah, ACC school that has a lot more money, a lot more everything, when it comes to recruiting and that sort of thing to get in there. And, we go into a place like that and put up a pretty good showing. That's just something that helps us fine tune for the upcoming Sun Belt Conference Championships.
Yep, absolutely. Moving on to swim and dive, lost to Ohio, 172-128. Is this their first loss for us?
Second. I can't remember who the other. They were 5-1, I think, before this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now 5-2. I see that.
5-2 now.
Let's look at some of the results. And just like you, I apologize if I butcher some names here, but Caseyina, I'm sorry.
I've been saying Luniashina.
Luniashina, okay. Paige Banton, Madeline Hart, and Audrey West in the 400 medley relay placed first.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mia McBride, Maddie Adkin, Lauren McNamara, and Nina Nugent placed third in that event. Esther Laban, I apologize.
I've been saying Laban,
okay. Placed second in the 1,000 freestyle. For Dika Sav, I'm so bad at names. I apologize. Placed 6th, and then Charlotte Thompson placed 7th in that same event. Molly Warner placed 2nd in the 200 freestyle. In the 100 backstroke, Mia McBride placed 1st. In the 100 breaststroke, Paige Banton placed 3rd. And there's a lot down here. I don't know if I want to read through all these. You can check this all out on Herd Zone. I do want to give the first place winners some love. In the 3-meter drive, Grace Kelsenheimer placed 1st. In the 200 backstroke, Luna Sheena placed 1st in that. And then Madeline Hart placed 1st in the 100 butterfly. Grace Kelsheimer placed 1st in the 1-meter diving. And that does it for our first place. So I didn't mean to leave everybody out, but we would be here for the next 10 minutes if I read all the names for those two plays. So check it out.
I've ran into that before with having so many different placings, and this happens all the time in track and field, happens all the time in swim and dive, because our athletes are sometimes finishing 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and even 4th and 5th in individual things. The big news from here amongst all these winners is yet another 1-meter and 3-meter sweep for Grace Kelsheimer, and I have to imagine that's going to lead to yet another Diver of the Week award for her. I think she has 6 already this season, so this would be the 7th, and really looking like she's a favorite for the gold medal in the Sun Belt Conference Championships that are coming up.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's good to see, Russ. I started reading through that list there, and I was about to overcommit to spending the next 30 minutes just giving everybody accolades. So, but seriously, no, that's great for our team. Our team is performing well. Just unfortunate that we didn't come out with the win at Ohio, but this team is performing at a very high level. So, Congratulations to everybody. And at Jed Horton, you can slam me on Twitter if I butchered your name, and I do apologize.
I really, some of these teams have, a little ear icon next to the roster names over on Herd Zone, and you can click on that, and it will be the athlete themselves saying the names. So those that I've gotten to hear, I've been able to say their name properly, but I'd love to see all of those up there because even if it's a name that you think would be simple, I've butchered it, buddy.
Yeah, and I've apparently my reading comprehension isn't very well either. So, moving on to men's golf at the Thomas Sharkey Individual Collegiate. It's a Georgia Southern event. That is on Friday and Saturday. That's where they're going to be. Sorry, I butchered that. The men's golf is going to be at that event Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, kicking off the I think this is the first time since maybe October. I can't remember if they had any in November, but pretty long winter layoff there, and they'll be back on the links. And no surprise that it's in the South, because right now I was out in Wayne County today for work, and I drove past all the Lavalette golf courses and that sort of thing, and frozen ground, still some ice on there. The ponds are frozen over. No place to be golfing yet. Men's golf is going to be golfing as you read this, or as you watch this, listen to this. It's going to be today, as this gets published on Friday. And they're going to be golfing. Keep that in mind while you're watching or listening, and you're looking out the window and saying, golfing today.
Right.
But down in Georgia, hopefully, even though they've had some weather down there.
Yeah, they've had their fair share of it too, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, baseball, for those of you getting wanting to scratch that baseball itch, it is free entry to a 6-inning intra-squad scrimmage on Sunday at 2 p.m. So that will be free entry. So if you want to watch a little bit of baseball and get a little bit of a preview of what might be coming, check it out.
Yeah, weather should be pretty good. We're getting rain on Friday, some tonight on Thursday night, and then most of the day on Friday. Temperatures continue to go up. I think it might hit the low 60s there on Sunday to watch that game. Only going to be 6 innings Sunday afternoon. You can take the whole family, and it costs you $0, and you get to go over there and give the baseball team a little bit of love before they tune everything up to start their season off in Hawaii.
Yep. Moving on to baseball, or not baseball, but softball rather.
Women's basketball.
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry, softball. Yeah, go ahead.
Softball. The first pitch banquet will be this Friday at 6 p.m. at the Guyan Country at the Country Club out at Guyan, and you can call the Big Green office if you're looking to get tickets for that event.
Yep, they have dinner, desserts, a really good speaker every year. Last year it was former coach Shonda Stanton, and they have an equally exciting speaker this year that all of the softball athletes were really looking forward to, and I'll get to that here more in a second on who that is. They have silent auction items that goes anywhere from game-worn jerseys, bats, helmets, batting gloves, all the different things like that, and then also some very cool prizes for the auctions. And one of those was they had multiple ones, but be a Batgirl for the softball team. And last year, both of my daughters won that. Evelyn at the time was, I think she was still 8, and she got to go over, and she just thought that was the best thing ever. And then my oldest daughter was 12 at the time. She got to go over and do that. And let me tell you, man, they love going over to the games anyway, but winning something like that, the money goes to the softball team. to help with them. All their operating costs, new uniforms, just everything going straight to the softball team. They loved these things. So it was me being able to give a little bit of money to softball, but also I would have paid double that to see the reactions and memories that my kids had from that. So make sure if you go to that you bid on some of these items, because they are just super, super cool.
Absolutely.
I will be there. This is the second straight year that we have the table sponsorship that we're doing. And we are extremely proud of that at the Thundercast, to be able to, thanks to our sponsors like Jed here, like 304 Car Wreck that we mentioned earlier, that we're able to do things like this. And we got a table, and that money really helps the softball team as well. We feel it's important. They embraced us very early. We embrace them. So it's something that I'm very proud of that we're doing. Before I turn it back over to you, the keynote speaker is Sam Fisher Cook, the first and only All-American in LMU program history, Team USA softball from 2012 to 2016, and Athletes Unlimited softball 2020 to 2024, softball legend at the national level. And she is coming in to speak. She's been someone that Coach Zirkle's known for quite a while on the national level, and everyone's looking forward to having her there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so if you can make it tomorrow, call over at the Big Green office, and buy your tickets and support our softball program.
Yep, it's a good night, man. It's a really good night.
And moving on to women's basketball, Russ, we're going to talk about that for a minute. They lost to Georgia Southern last Wednesday, 67-60. Then lost to Southern Miss on Saturday, 54-48.
Mm-hmm.
And then last night they lost to Coastal Carolina, 76-64.
Mm-hmm.
They will be playing at Georgia Southern Sunday at 1 p.m.
Been a rough stretch, man. We got that game in there, it was the last time we recorded, I think, and we were like, maybe this will be that game. I got that feeling. We got that monkey off her back, and then we had these, maybe it's 2 episodes ago that we were talking about that. But then 3 straight losses, and that Southern Miss game, both teams, I've seen it called a defensive battle, but it really seemed like both teams were just struggling shooting the ball. And, 54-48 is something that you see every now and then, but usually not in the Sun Belt and usually not in Marshall basketball. Even though we've been struggling, we've been putting up some points, and we only put up 48 in that game. So it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle shooting. We've talked about it all year. There's been turnovers. We've talked about it all year. And they just really need to get it together and go on a run. It's something obviously nobody wants. The athletes don't want it. The coaches don't want it. The fans don't want it. But it's just been a struggle, and 3 losses in a row after getting that first win in conference.
Yeah, it's been a rough go. We have shown in all of these games that most of the games we can be competitive.
Mm-hmm.
We have shown in quarters that we can even win some quarters. But it's just it feels like to me that we've not put together. We consistently don't put together consistent 4 quarters.
Yeah.
And we go on these droughts, like you said, with the shooting and some of the things. We seem to go on some droughts, let teams get ahead, and then you're fighting and clawing and trying to get back. So it's no, I'm with you. It's time that let's step it up a little bit. Let's win some games. I think let's close out games that we can win and should be winning. And let's. I'm hopeful that the girls can win get some wins under their belt here before we get to tournament time. And,
yeah, to paint the picture here, I've got a few team stats, and this is on the year through 21 games. From the field overall, 37.9% shooting from 3-point, 32.4, free throw line 67.3, and averaging 17 turnovers a game. That's it right there. It's hard to win when you're shooting at those percentages, and it's hard to win with that many turnovers, no matter how many turnovers that you create. But 9.4 steals a game, 17.0 turnovers a game. You're losing the turnover battle, and most games you're getting outshot. It's just been very tough for Coach Fulks in her first year, and we're really, really missing the point guard play that we had last year. And that's not a knock on the point guards that we have this year. It's just the point guards that we had last year, both were seniors and graduated. Teams would have been, I'm talking nationwide, would have been thrilled to have Abby Beeman as their starting point guard. And we had her right here at Marshall. Yeah. I said all the time, the best passer in college basketball. I did not say best women's passer. I said best passer in college basketball. And we're missing that this year, and the girls are trying, the team's trying. The shots aren't falling, and there's just no other way to say it than we really need them to come together, go on a good run, get some confidence, learn to win as a team, and build on that going into the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've discussed this before. Anytime you bring in a new coach and a new system and things like that, I don't want to say you caught lightning in a bottle last year, but you kind of caught lightning in a bottle last year with some good players and a good system, and it all worked out. And now you're once again changing. You had 2 head coaches in 2 years, or 3 head coaches in 3 years. There's a lot going on here, and so I'm with you. I think there's a lot that you take you can take into tournament time, but a lot you take into next year as well. So I think there's some good things to build upon. I think we can win some games before the season ends. Maybe win a game or 2 in the tournament, make a little run, and build on it for next year. I'm going to move on to men's basketball, who have seemed to turn a little bit of a corner. They beat Georgia State last Thursday, 92-79. Beat Georgia Southern on Saturday, 71-67. And they will be hosting Georgia State tonight as we record, Thursday night at 7 p.m. And then they will be hosting Coastal Carolina on Saturday at 4 p.m.
Yeah, what a run they've been on here lately with that road swing going 4-0 or 3-1 on the road. It was, and won the last 3. Again, we talked about Jalen Spear and him coming on, but during that Coastal game, Anna Chile Killen nearly came up with or was that the Georgia State game? One of the games, I'll look it up here, nearly came away with a triple-double. And I think it was 23, 10, and 9 or something like that. But been a heck of a run for Marshall basketball, and they seem to, again, they've got 3 losses by a total of 6 points in the 3 conference losses that they have. They're on the cusp of being the best team in the Sun Belt Conference. And going into conference play, I don't think anyone would have thought that, especially a couple of the early games there where they lost to Southern Miss by 2 and then Troy by 1. So they were 1-2 starting off in conference play. And now they're 6-3. It's a good time to come alive, find your right mix, shoot better, the rebounds, the blocks, everything seems to be there. They're not playing perfect basketball. They may still be frustrating for some fans, when they're seeing it, because again, fans, short for fanatics, we want to see perfect basketball play. We want to see perfect baseball play. We want to see perfect football play. But they are doing what it takes to win games. You see them hitting free throws down the stretch, even if they haven't been hitting them all game. You see them getting a key steal or a key rebound, to keep someone at bay so they don't get that final shot so we can win the game. It's everything that they need to do. They're finding a way to win most of their games right now, and it's just fun to watch. It's always fun to watch a winner.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've been figuring it out. And I think sometimes that's what gets really frustrating about a team at times, is if you're playing and you're not improving, you're not making adjustments, and you're just doing the same old and not being able to win games. And this team has been able to adjust and adapt, and players are beginning to find and continue to find their roles. I think has been a big piece. I think rotation is being worked out as well from Coach Jackson's side, and we're winning games, and what's more fun than winning games? So I like the little pep talk he gave the guys about winning the game. If you guys want a big crowd to support you at home, you have to win this game.
That's right.
To win these games, and they pulled it off. So
yeah.
For those of you that can attend, I hope there's a good crowd tonight. Here in a few minutes, support them this Saturday. Who doesn't want to support a winner? And let's help support these guys, and let's keep winning.
Yeah, and again, that Wednesday game coming up, it's 9 p.m., but the number one team as of now in the Sun Belt Conference comes to the CAM, and we have the opportunity to defend our home court, beat the number one team, and really help our spot in the pecking order for this upcoming Sun Belt Conference tournament. Just a little bit of stats right now. This is through 22 games. We're averaging 75.6 a game, 44% from the field. Again, that has been an improvement from where we were at earlier. 69.3 from free throw. Again, that's an improvement from where we were earlier. And 31.4% from three-point land. Seems like we were talking 3 weeks ago before we went on this run, and our percentage from behind the arc was somewhere around 27, 28, and we have improved quite a bit. Again, Jalen Spears brought us up. He's not the only one hitting threes. 37.3 rebounds a game, 14.2 assists per game, 7.2 steals a game, 4.9 blocks a game, 12.1 turnovers a game. We're just playing some good basketball right now, and those numbers again look better over the last 6 games than they did earlier in the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are is that over the whole season stats?
Whole season stats. It's all 22 games. Yep.
Okay. So those stats are up, but it's not showcasing what's happened over the last, like you said, last few games.
If you could take this and isolate it just down to conference play, these stats are going to be better. But even better if you could isolate the last 6 games, when we've been 5-1, that's really when we've caught fire from behind the arc. That's where we're playing our best basketball of the season. We have been doing what it takes to win these games, but the shooting has been much improved over those 6 games, which is why we got a 5-1 record.
Yeah, absolutely. And we were right in that one. That first road game. I mean, we had our chance. So So even when we're losing, we're not getting blown out by anybody. Let's put it that way.
Yep. And as of right now, and this is before the game, you'll be listening to this on Friday, but this is before the Thursday night games. Marshall is 6-3 in conference, and that is tied for second without any kind of tiebreakers, without getting into all that. It is tied for the second best record in the Sun Belt Conference. Arkansas State is 8-2. Troy, South Alabama, and Marshall are all 6-3. And then you've got App and ODU right behind that at 6-4. So right now, we could, depending on Thursday night's games, we could be in sole possession of second place in Sunbelt Conference, or we could still be tied or behind them in tiebreakers or whatever. It's important to know we had talked about Sunbelt Conference struggles with away, and I had gotten it wrong. I was trying to go by memory, but it was besides Arkansas State. No team had won on the road in conference at that point. And Marshall just won 3 in a row on the road in conference. So a lot of teams struggling on the road in the conference, but not the Herd, not now.
Not now. No, that's hey, that's a stat and a trend I like to see.
Yeah.
Well, Russ, that wraps it up for Around the Herd, brought to you by Layer 1 Solutions.
Yeah, and again, Jed, for those of you that do not know, is also the CEO of Layer 1 Solutions, and they do fiber and cleaning up your IT room, I guess you would say, your cabinets and all that sort of thing, and really keeping everything organized. But they will come and do installs, they'll do improvements, they'll do a little bit of everything. So again, all this content, all the stuff that we do on the ThunderCast.Online, all of the free things that we give out with the tickets and at tailgates and all that are thanks to our sponsors. So anyone listening or watching, the same as we talked about with 304carwreck.com and the same thing we talked about with Ignite Link, if you know of anyone that can use Layer 1 Solutions, please get with Jed. Or Jed, what is it? Is it L1.solutions?
L1, yeah, the number 1.solutions. You can check us out there. Our phone number is on the website as well. You can find us we are on Facebook currently too, so you can find us at Layer 1 Solutions there as well, and send us a DM on there if you have any infrastructure needs. Yep.
Jed, do you have anything else before I take us out of here?
No, that's all I've got for this evening.
All right. Well, I don't have anything else either. I am under the weather. I want to watch this game because I'm not able to go in person. So I'm just going to say, whether you see us at the Joan, whether you see us at the Cam, or whether you see us at the Jack on Sunday, no matter where you see us, we're going to be saying, go Herd. It's the ThunderCast, and we'll see you next week.
Go Herd.